Hello, once again. Thanks for joining me today. I will be explaining the third part of this video, which is about processing the player moves on a logic game. But before I start, I would like to summarize what we have done so far in the first two videos. In the first video, if we scroll down and here the first video, which is about we actually set up a tic-tac-toe game board where we created a class that represents the board game and then the board grid as you can see here and the board display. For the second video, we set up a tic-tac-toe game logic and then we define the classes as well as the player and their move, and also create a class that represents the game logic as you can see. So just bear with me, just from here down to down here. I will advise you guys to watch the two recording video of both the game board as well as the game logic. I wouldn't want to repeat myself over those parts, so I would like you guys to watch that. But today, I will be focusing on the process the player moves on the game logic. That is how the player moves within the game logic. And then we'll be focusing on validating the moves, checking for a winner, checking for a tied game, and also lastly, toggling the players for the next move. So I will start by scrolling down to where I've added the coding which has to do with the process of the player move. I started from here. So if you looked at this line of code very carefully, which is this line of code here, first of all, I've actually defined a valid move for the player move, as you can see down there. The line highlighted there shows that we are trying to get the rows and the column coordinate from the import move. That is what that line shows. The next line here has been highlighted here, showing an empty move. Basically, is checking if the move at the current coordinate, that is the row and the column, still hold an empty string as it is labeled. And by doing so, the condition will be true if no player has made the input to move before. And the last line here, highlighted here, is checking if the game doesn't have a winner yet, and that will return that as you can see there. So that is the first part of it. The second part, which is the process move, as you can see here, also this same line is also repeating what exactly I said above. It defined the process, first of all, this defined the process of the move which take place and the object of an argument. And the next line here is all talking is basically the line that get the rows and the column to coordinate from the input move. The next line showed here is assigning the input move to the item at the row and the column in the list of the current move. The next line, which is the for loop here, which is the combination, is more to do with the start loop over the combination of the wins, as you can see here, which is between this line straight to where, bear with me, Yeah. Just look at them and bear with me. Starting from that line, which is the result, yes, and then go to for yeah, exactly. So the which is this line here. Very good. Yeah, which is this line shown down here. So it runs basically what that lines of code is doing there is generating an expression that retrieve the label from the moves in the current winning combination, and that result is then converted to a set object, as you can see there. Where is the set object down there? Yeah, that's the set object there. Very good. Okay, the next line there, which is which is here. The next line here, which is the one here, which is checks. Yeah, it basically define the Boolean expression to check if the current move determine a win or not, and then the last part of it, sorry, this is one, the Boolean one. Sorry, I do apologize. So that line here is basically defining the expression to check if the current move determine a win or not. And this last part of this code from here to here is basically checking the content of the win, and if the variable old is true, then the win is set to true, and the winning combination is also set to the current combination, and then the loop break for another function to continue from there. In terms of the process move and the validating move, we have to think about the winning what the winning move, because this will be used for every part of the game shown here, and this is to basically define our winning tic-tac-toe game by adding this code onto the line here. And this method will return a Boolean value that is stored as the winner whenever we check if the current match has a win or not. And the part that has to do with the defined tie is shown here. And remember, if the player plays or on all the cells, there is no winning. If the player plays on all the cells and there is no winner, then the game will be tied. And remember, there's a situation where this game will have to come to a tie. So in order for that to come to a tie, certain condition must be declared within the game to ensure that all possible move has been placed and the game has no winner. And in doing so, we have this game as shown that has been added, which I return true if the game is tied, otherwise false. And that is why this is very, very important within that game. And finally, which is the last part of the process for the move game, is every time a player make a valid move, you will need a toggle to the current player so that every other player can make the next move. And in doing so, we add this code as being highlighted there. And in doing so, we are able to indicate that when there's a toggle with the current player, then the other player can then make the next move. So remember, even showing this trying to explain this simple logic here, the game hasn't been fully functioning. I repeat again, the game is not fully completed. We have to demonstrate the process, the player move on the board game. Because what we have just demonstrated now is the player move on the logic game. So, and the part here where you see the one there, which was the first part of the project, the video which I created, which was talking about setting up a tic-tac-toe game for the board game, where we created a class that represent the board game. That's the first part down there. The second part video we did was here, where we created a tic-tac-toe game for a game logic that define the class and the player and their move, and also create the class that represent the logic game. So today was just focusing on the process the player moves on the game board or the game logic, which is adding to the game here. So I hope this explanation will be helpful. I'll be posting the code also on the Teams as well too. Thank you.